Hi, I'm your host, Spriha Gupta, and welcome to Visual Perspectives. Today, I'll be chatting with Alicia Robinson, who is an award-winning animation and illustration artist. She's based out of the New Jersey, New York area, and she graduated from MICA in animation, and currently she's working with Headspace, which is a fun wellness app where she creates fun content. What was amazing about Alicia's work was that she felt there was a lack of representation in animation, and the characters that she creates in her work are very relatable. They're inspiring and also fun at the same time. So, welcome to the show, Alicia. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad I'm here.
Of course, of course. So, one question I think which everybody wants to ask and people want to know is this something you always knew you wanted to do as a child? Like, creating stories. Everybody has little sketchbooks or little books in which, they would just scribble down and say that, okay, maybe I want to see this and I want to, do this as I grow up. So was that something you always wanted to do? And did your family support you in that?
Yeah, not animation specifically. I didn't even know about animation until I think senior year of high school. But I was a very imaginative child. Like me and my twin sister, we'd always come up with stories until we were able to write. And so I would have notebooks filled with just different stories, and I'd draw little illustrations to go along with them. And so it's been like a process, really. When I was in elementary school, I was gung-ho about becoming a children's book author.
Okay.
And middle school hit and high school, and then I thought, I really like film and maybe I can do screenwriting. And then I started taking back art again, and I got really into just drawing characters and making stories to go along with those characters, like I did when I was 5 or whenever. And so once I started thinking about my career, I was thinking I really like drawing characters and making stories and how I can apply that in my career. And I learned about animation. And then I just kind of knew that that's where I wanted to be.
So was that like when you were 13, 14 that you figured that this is what you want to do in college? Because a lot of kids think about it, but to have that clarity in your head, knowing that this is exactly what you want to do, when did that happen for you?
Yeah, I would say that happened in high school, like my senior year. And I just remembered like my love for film and animation. And I never really thought of it being a career. I thought more of like, author or, children's book author or whatever. So when that was in my awareness, then I kind of knew that that's where I wanted to go.
Okay. And I was just reading up and I saw that you said that as you were growing up as a child, for you as a family, there were not too many shows for you guys to watch where you could really see yourself in those characters or people, right? And one of the shows that you liked was The Proud Family. And you felt like there's a show that I like and I feel like there needs to be more of that. And I think that was one of the things which further inspired you to make sure that you created like people from diverse groups, gave them more representation. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. When I was younger, I loved watching Disney films. I liked watching a bunch of films and TV shows for animation. And I guess it didn't really hit me until I was just drawing like people that looked like me. And I was like, hey, how come I don't really see, people like this when I watch TV? And so when I went to college, I kind of made it a mission to make sure I was drawing Black people when it was possible in my assignments. Like if we had illustration assignments, I would make sure I was incorporating people of different backgrounds, and, more specifically, dark-skinned Black women, because I'm a dark-skinned Black woman, and I just feel like that's kind of the least represented group in animation.
And Alicia, it's very interesting to see all the characters that you've come up with. I mean, I love you have Rain and Thunder. You have like, this princess who's getting ready on her own and she doesn't have a fairy godmother who just like, whips the wand and she's into something. So I think that's so realistic. Even your take on Black Lives Matter, how you've represented it, and it's just amazing. And I'm so happy that you found your voice through animation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, representation is very important to me. I want to make sure, a piece of me is being shown within my art. So, of course, like with Black Lives Matter, it's something I feel very strongly about, and I wanted to make something to show my solidarity. Mm-hmm. And, with other pieces of mine, like the princess getting ready without a fairy godmother, I love to take fairy tales or fantasy and kind of flip it on its head or make it, more about a specific culture. And I guess also with just other illustrations that are more fun, that don't really have, a deep backstory to them. Like my head wraps piece, I just kind of wanted to show, different ways to tie a head wrap. And
I like what you've done with your hair. That looks so cool.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you can ask anyone in college. I wore a head wrap probably every day. So I just kind of wanted to show, a bit of things that I like, and also things a part of my culture.
Yeah. No, I think it's really nice because when you watch something, you do want to kind of get involved in the character and also learn a little about the culture, the background, what's the character about, why it was created in the first place, right? So there's always a story behind. You just don't randomly create things. There's a reason why, characters out there. So I love the concept of, Rain and Thunder. They look like regular girls, but they have these amazing powers. So it's just that, I guess in the back of my mind, it's like you can do what you want to do. You have the power within you, and it's just how you use it and how you bring it forth, right?
Right.
Yeah, so no, that's cool. And tell me something. I mean, I think it's really cool that you were one of the first 5 interns to work with the Empower Puff Girls at the Cartoon Network internship. So how did you land that internship?
Yeah, it was a great internship, and I'm not sure if they're gonna have another round. Hopefully, after all this ends. But I got the internship by submitting a video that was required with the application. But I found out about it through my friend who sent me, I think it was on Twitter, and they were like, we're calling for, applicants. So I was like, why not? I haven't received an internship before in my 4 years of college, which was a little daunting. So I just it was like kind of my last hope. So it was an interesting application because I've never, made something for an application. It was more like write a cover letter, write your resume, and like hope for the best. But this was, this particularly, I got to show who I was through my video and my video editing. And I got the internship, and I thought that was super cool because I kind of got to show who I was, and that's how I got the internship. Rather than, but it's set on a piece of paper. So I thought that was super cool. Yeah, I hope I answered that.
And right now you currently work for Headspace, which is an amazing app. And I guess especially through the pandemic, I think a lot of people would have used that for meditation. So, was that something that you started doing after college? Like that's like your main job now?
Yeah, that's my 9 to 5, I guess you could say. But I do animation, illustration for the app, and it wasn't something I got right after college. It was actually right after my year-long internship at Cartoon Network. So a few months after that, and I didn't apply or anything. I actually. The art director for the motion graphics team saw my Instagram and really liked my work and was like, hey, do you do After Effects work? Because I really like your illustrations. And I did do After Effects work. So I was like, yeah. And it just led to me getting the job, and it was super awesome. And I loved working on the team and creating, content that kind of helps people.
Yeah. Really good. Tell me something. You've created quite a few animations and short films and stuff. Is there anyone which is super dear to you, something that you feel is very special?
Yeah, I would say my senior thesis film, Lazy Day. That is based on, my relationship I had with my father before he passed. And it's a very, it starts off very fun, a very, like, just a kind of slice of life of what it was like to, play with my father. He would come home tired from work, and like a child, I just wanted to play. So it's kind of this back and forth of this little girl wanting to play with her tired dad. And it's a really a near and dear film to my heart. And hopefully, I can make more stuff to remember my father.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. But at least I guess you've been able to express yourself and create a film which shows your special relationship with him, and something that you can keep adding to, right? And keep kind of recreating different things. So do you feel that you're in a place where you've been able to move away from what's expected of general characters, and in say in Disney or whatever, there's a typical story and everybody wants happy endings, and everybody wants, like, for you to believe that dreams can come true and all of this can happen. So you do still believe in that fairy tale, but you give it like a realistic twist and say, yes, we are ready to believe and we want to dream, but we want a couple of more things added to the story, right? That's the direction
Exactly.
we're going in.
Oh, yeah, totally. I think that life is, kind of like a roller coaster full of ups and downs, but, it's all about your outlook. And, when you have a positive outlook, I feel like anything is possible and you can, reach your dreams.
I'm here to spill the beans on the big C. Fellas don't think it's real. Us ladies can't even talk about it. And for everyone in between and whatnot, forget about it. We can't even admit we have a big C. But lucky for you, I'm here to help. I know everything that has to do with the big climate crisis. Climate advocates say that the climate crisis is a result of a highly abundant resource that is constantly extracted.
Oh my goodness! Chloe's about to say her first word! Daddy? Diaper rash? Doggy! Dessert? Donald? Dress? Dubstep. Democracy. Dracula. Dandelion? Darwin? Danish? What, Chloe? What is it?
Dismantle the patriarchy.
That's my girl.
piece of advice or anything you'd like to share with the students out there or people who are interested in animation and illustration, anything they should keep in mind?
Yeah, I would say to, always have faith in yourself and your abilities. I know imposter syndrome is so real, like especially, just going out of college or, if you didn't even go to college and just like trying to break into the industry, just keep pushing at it, just keep having faith in yourself. Social media is also an amazing tool. I know like sometimes social media can be a lot, but if you just use it for, professional stuff and like reach out and network, it's like an awesome way to, get to know people and in the industry. And they have so many great things going on with just reaching out and helping people, break into the industry now. I know they have like seminars and a lot of people from industry professionals just helping people with their websites and portfolios. So yeah, I would totally recommend Instagram or Twitter to get your network.
Okay, that's cool. Well, thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us today. It was fun chatting with you and looking at your amazing characters and your animation. So all the best, and I will keep an eye out to see some more fun stuff coming from you.
Awesome, sounds good. It was great chatting with you too.
Thank you. Hi, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Alicia Robinson today. She's put together a little demonstration for us to see, and I hope you'll watch it. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Hey y'all, thank you so much for checking out my interview. In this demo, I'm going to show you how I create this piece of my character Rain. So the first thing I do is place all my reference images in a Photoshop file. I section the size of what I want my image to be, so this particular one is going to be 8.5 by 11. Once I have my references in place, I start loosely sketching my character's pose and the background. I wanted to go for a cottagecore vibe for this one, so I have Rain in a field of flowers, holding an umbrella and just enjoying the rain because she's in her element. I came up with this piece because I wanted to show this character in an environment and just demonstrate her personality a bit more. So now I'm just going in and detailing my sketch a bit more, sculpting out her head, her expressions, her body, her outfit. Rain is such a cute character. She's optimistic, she's positive, glass half full kind of girl, and I wanted her expression to come off as such. She has a big smile, wide eyes, a very whimsical look about her. Rain's hair is always such a fun thing to draw. Her hair is just ever flowing, so when I'm doing her hair, it has to look like it's running water, so it's always dripping. Just to get into the character design of Rain, she is very circular to give off this bubbly kind of childlike personality about her, and she has a square as her secondary shape, just to show like even though she's kind of like a kid, she still has a good head on her shoulders and she's still pretty sturdy. Now I'm getting into the final line art. I'm just cleaning up the sketch, making my final edits to her face. Still kind of sculpting it out a bit, as you can see. I thought the bottom of her face was a little wide compared to her previous drawings, so I'm just thinning the bottom out a bit more. My favorite part about drawing characters definitely is the expression. So when I'm doing characters' expressions, I always have their eyebrows at different levels. I think it gives it that just a bit more whimsical look to them. Rain, for instance, has a kind of a button nose to give her that cutesy vibe, and that little curve at the end of her smile I always like to add to my characters too, to give it that cutesy whimsical look as well. To go with the cottagecore vibe, I had Rain's hair tied up in a bow, kind of reminiscent of Belle from Beauty and the Beast. I wanted to have her hair in a ponytail. It's usually tied up to get out of her face so she doesn't have water in her face constantly. Another thing I like to add to my characters is 2 little strands of hair coming out of the top of their head. It's just another way that I up the playfulness of my characters and just give them that much more personality. I'm going to speed it up a bit here, but I'm just outlining the shape of her dress, her body a bit more, and her arms and legs and hands. I'm adding a bit of detail to this layer of the dress, adding a belt, making the dress look a bit more pleated. Here I'm just going in and rounding out her fingers a bit more. Like I said earlier, she's really circular dominant, so I wanted her hands to appear a bit more softer and rounded. Now I'm detailing her outfit. She's wearing a poncho and a dress that kind of resembles a raincoat. When drawing this character, I like to have her outfit designs inspired by rainwear, or if she has makeup on or wearing accessories, that there's some kind of water element to it. To describe my layer setup right now, I kind of have different layers for every stage of line art. So I have a layer for the body, just like the base, then another layer for the details of the dress, and then the last layer for extra accessories like this umbrella here. Okay, so going into color, I'm just laying out her skin tone. I'm using Kyle T. Webster's Gouache bonus brush. I like this brush because it gives it this gritty, crayon-like texture that I use a lot in my work. So I really enjoy Kyle T. Webster's Gouache pack. Also for line art, I used his rough inker brush. Now I'm just figuring out the color of her poncho. I wanted her poncho to be a bit transparent, so I'm using the gouache bristle brush and setting the layer mode to dissolve at 60 to 70%. I didn't want the line art for this piece to be so harsh, so I'm just coloring in the line art here. Like my line art layers, I separate my color layers as well. I have a skin color layer, then a clothing color layer, and a hair layer. This is just so I can apply different highlights or shadows or effects to each one. With her hair, I try to make the highlights wavy to give off that running water look. I use adjustment layers for shadows and highlights. So for her hair, I'm just using the blue that I used, but on multiply at around 50%. For the highlights in her hair, the adjustment layer is set to screen and the opacity is at 100%, which I don't normally do when highlighting, but this was done to make Rain's hair look reflective. Here, just going back into the line art and changing it to a softer color. Now we're getting into coloring her face, which is one of my favorite parts. I'm giving her eyes a shadow just to give it some depth. Her eyebrows were a little uneven, which I like, but this is a little too much, so I'm just tweaking that a bit. And then I'm going to take out those extra lines in her eyes. I just changed the background color here so I could see the white when I was coloring in the umbrella handle. For the color of the umbrella, I decided to go with a pink. Rain's palette is more yellows and blues, so I thought the pink would complement it really well. Right now I'm playing with the design of the umbrella a bit. A lot of the drawing process for me is trial and error, so you'll see me playing around with the details of this illustration as I go. Once I'm done with coloring, I start drawing the foreground and the background. I wanted these elements to be lineless so Rain would stand out more. I'm also using the same gouache bonus brush. To get these little stems for the flowers, I just thinned out the brush a bit more. Now I'm just dabbing the brush at a higher size so it gets like this flower look. For the textures on the flowers, I had a multiply and a screen adjustment layer, and I did the same thing. I just dabbed the brush on the canvas. I'm using another multiply adjustment layer so the flowers look like they're behind Rain. Again, I'm just playing with the background a bit more, playing with the shape of what the trees would look like so they frame the composition well. I'm using multiply and screen adjustment layers here too, so it has the same texture. I added a multiply adjustment layer to the skin tone layer, so I'm just going to go in and add some shadows. And now I'm doing the same thing with the clothing layer. And here I'm just adding a texture to her dress. Just adding some more details to the face. I always like to add blush to my characters for their cheeks to pop out. Now I'm just adding some highlights to the face and some whites to the hair to give it more of that reflective look, and then adding some highlights to the dress as well. Lastly, adding in some rain. I'm having it bounce off the umbrella so it's interacting with the character. Now I'm just taking the piece and putting it into what I call the final canvas, where it's measured out 8.5 by 11, and I just go in and put in my effects. I put in a blue overlay just to bring out the colors a bit more, make it look like it's rainy outside. I'm playing with Rain's overlay here so she'll stand out against the background. You'll see me changing the mode to black and white just so I can see the values a bit better. After playing around with some overlays, I think it's ready to go. And here's the final result. Thanks so much for joining me for this demo.